very popular, and there are many true crime aficionados out there who aren't familiar with ASMR. So there's a chance someone will click on this video who searched for just true crime, and that person might be baffled as to why I'm whispering and why I'm doing cupped whispers or speaking in a soft-spoken way. My last true crime video on the Delphi murders got a lot of comments like, "Why are you whispering? Speak was 4 months pregnant at the time. Her husband stayed in the house to watch their 3-year-old son, who as a toddler was asleep at the time. Miriam set out, like I mentioned, about 11 p.m. from their Park Avenue home in South Bend. Miriam was usually gone on these walks for about 30 to 40 minutes, so when she didn't return after an hour, her husband got worried. He then went outside and called for her and the dog, walking up both ends of the street and back. He didn't go too far because their son was asleep in the house. He then quickly called the police, and this started a very trying few days as searches began for Miriam. Her dog was found the next day, cowering under a car. I remember that news report when they said they had found the dog a couple blocks away. And I remember local news saying she was wearing pink and green. I don't know why that stuck with me all these years. I can't remember if it was pink pants and a green shirt or vice versa, but she was wearing pink and green, and I remember ribbons being on the fences and light posts to raise awareness of her being missing. I remember people in the neighborhood also being very much on edge because we just weren't used to things like this happening in the city at that time. I remember my dad and I driving around Pinhook Park, which is maybe about 2 miles from the neighborhood in which she disappeared from. One day after we went to the library and we were driving around Pinhook and we were talking about this case, and it's frightening to me to think that just a couple days after that conversation, Miriam was found at Pinhook Lagoon by one of the family members who were part of the search effort. Her death was ruled due to severe blunt force trauma to the head. Her husband had to identify her by her wedding rings. 10 to 15% of her skull was never recovered. So this case was obviously in local news, but it eventually went cold. By 1992, some people say Jeff Rice was pretty much driven out of town by residents who believed theories that he had something to do with the murder. He didn't, though. she was babysitting her 2-year-old brother. She said that Kearney, Brewster, and her 6-year-old other brother, Robert, returned covered in blood, and that her mother made her clean a pool of blood out of the van the next day. The prosecutor in the case said that there is no question that the minor children of Brewster are also victims in this case. The prosecutor said that with so many affected, there is no winning or success, but at least now there is some justice. Barbara Brewster was eventually found guilty of murder after a 3-day trial in August 2019. The jury deliberated for an hour. Kearney had pled guilty in March 2019 to his role in the murder, but he died in jail of a terminal illness while awaiting sentencing. One thing that really struck me in this case is an article that I read after the verdict, in which I think it was Brewster's son who witnessed the murder said that the only good thing his mother ever did for him was to spare him from being killed by Kearney that night, after Kearney threatened to kill everyone in the van if Brewster didn't finish what Kearney started. Wow. I was so fortunate to have a happy childhood that it just struck me the pain and the trauma that Brewster's kids undoubtedly have. If those kids can think of the only good thing that their mother did for them was that. Wow. And certainly Miriam's son is a victim too, and her husband and her family, her mom, her dad, her siblings. And as I mentioned, this was the first true crime case I remember being interested in. And not to be all gloom and doom, but it serves as a reminder to me that there is evil in this world, and that this was such a random act of brutality. I never did find anything in doing research as to what the motive was for this, other than I don't know if they were just so strung out on drugs or what. Just the randomness is so frightening to me. Thinking of this case, it impacts my own work in social services, in that what Brewster's kids were subjected to is a reminder to me of the traumas that so many people face. Maybe not on this level necessarily, but certainly on so many levels. There's so many levels of trauma that people face that impact them today, and I can't imagine what her kids have had to deal with, the issues that they must have had to work through, or what they even remember of it. Did they suppress a lot of it? It sounds like they might have in reading some articles about this, but this is also, the case is also a reminder to me that there are good people out there working to solve cold cases, and that we should never give up on cold cases. Knowing of some of the people who worked on this case, I don't know them personally, but knowing of them and their work in the community on other things, the tenacity of the investigators is incredible. Many of whom worked on this case after their retirement. They cared. And we should, like I said, we should never give up on cold cases, and never stop having faith that these cases can be solved. So that's why I think, I used to think that true crime was kind of like low-hanging fruit in a way, like it's an easy way to get views. But I don't think that's necessarily true, because like I said, if you're presenting a cold case, it could continue to get it gets the word out there that this happened, it's not solved. Does anybody know anything? It could lead to some justice for the family Now,